Tomorrow morning we're davening at 6, 6:50, and 7:50. Now for a quick Devar Torah. Uh, Yaakov is perhaps the most surprising of the Avot, because when we're introduced to him in last week's Parsha, he's called an Ish Olim. He stays in the tents. He's studying. He's a yeshiva student. And we know that there's 7 years missing from the time he leaves his father's home to Haran. We learned that those 7 years were spent at the yeshiva of Shem Ve'ever, that he was studying. So we expect him to be a naive, little, weak guy who, doesn't know how to handle himself in the world. And this week's parsha, as he meets the daughters of Lavan, he lifts the stone. He's the only one who does it. So obviously he's not weak. But we also know something else about him. He's not naive. He might be keeping all the Torah, but he doesn't do it in a naive way. He knows there are people like Esav in the world. He grew up with Esav, so he knows there are bad people in the world. There are people who don't have any inhibitions about what they want to do. And he's about to enter with Lavan, who is a conniver par excellence. Lavan is a total materialist. He just is looking out for himself. He doesn't care about anybody else. He's willing to do anything. When he sees Yaakov, he knows that when Eliezer came for Rivka, he says, oh yeah, he came with a lot of money. So he goes running out to meet Yaakov, looks for all the gold, etc., doesn't see it. Maybe he has it on him. He hugs him. Maybe it's in his mouth to protect him. He kisses him to check out what's in his mouth. In other words, Lavan and Yaakov has to deal with him. And Lavan eventually Yaakov eventually outwits Lavan. But he doesn't do it by violating the Torah. He does it by being smart. Much like if those who remember the old TV series Maverick. Okay, if you remember that TV series, it's about a guy who's a gambler, right? Who's honest. And he says the worst thing to a dishonest gambler is an honest gambler who knows all the tricks. Yaakov knows the tricks. Doesn't mean that he does anything wrong. He just knows what to expect from the other guy. And that's a major lesson in the Torah is keep the mitzvot, but don't be fooled by people who are trying to trick you into doing the wrong thing. Remember that when Yaakov eventually meets with Esav again, what does he say? He says, I lived with Esav and I kept all the mitzvot. I lived with Lavan and I kept all the mitzvot. It's a big lesson for us. Something to think about, Kaddish Rabbanim.